Howdy-Do. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience going to visit Amma in Oakland in June of 2024. I went with my good friend Whitney Freya. She was the one who invited me along. I didn't even know that Amma was in town for a seminar. So we decided to meet on Thursday morning. She flew down from Oregon and I drove up the bay, and we met at the Marriott in Oakland. And that's pretty much all the information we had, except she had a room for us, so that was great. We had a place to sleep for the night. But other than that, we didn't know what we were in for. And it was great because we kind of like came across this corner, around this corner, like she's walking this way, I'm walking this way, and it was like, boom, we got there at the same time. It's like, oh, hello, let's just go on in. It was just really cool. So the day was a lot of waiting. The ultimate goal for us to get there so early was to get a token, because if you want to do Darsham, which is the ceremony, the hug from Amma, that is Darsham. So it's a ceremony and then a process and lines and things that you kind of go through these stages to get to her. But you don't get to do any of that if you don't have a token. So we knew that much. We knew we had to get a token. So we got in a line. Well, no, there was no line for a while. So we just kind of kicked around, and we actually saw Alma get onto an elevator with like these Secret Service guys. And she was just so sweet. And it's kind of like seeing a spiritual person that you know has a large impact on the world. And it's just a little bit awe-inspiring. Felt a little bit groupie-like, to be honest with you. But it was just kind of a neat thing. So we were like, oh my gosh, there she is. And we got some lunch and then knew that we were going to start getting in line around 3 o'clock, which we did. And it was really interesting. All these lines. So there's a line to get the token, and then other lines to do different things. But it turned out we were actually in the wrong line for a few hours, I think, until Claudia came over to get us, and she's like just quietly kind of brought us to another line. And so this is the one that you want to go to because we'd never been there before. And they really tried to make a point of, if you've never had a hug from Amma, that you kind of get to go to the front of the line. So there's people that wait like overnight into the next day, like 22 hours she's been known to sit and do hugs. So luckily we didn't have to wait 22 hours. We waited quite a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, we were it was pretty fast. So once we had our tokens, we were good to just kind of kick around for a while, and it was really great people watching. I noticed that there were so many people dressed in beautiful colors, lots of saris. It was a very diverse group of people, people from all walks of life. And what I found interesting was throughout the waiting and lining up and practicing patience, there was this overall sense of unity and an overall sense of peace and happiness. Whereas I think a lot of other times when we're in lines with a lot of group, like if you're going to a concert or something, or you're waiting to go into a movie, whatever it might be, people get very antsy and agitated, and you can feel that vibe. This was exactly the opposite. There was one man that I think kind of embarrassed himself. He had a little bit of a meltdown. And I can say that his skin is the same color as mine, so thanks a lot, dude. Anyway, there was one person out of all of those people. So he removed himself, and but everybody else was just so kind and so caring, and there were so many different generations. You saw like 4 generations of one family all going there to see Amma together and taking care of one another. The elderly taking care of the young, and the young taking care of the elderly. And it was just beautiful. So I would say, even if I didn't get to get a hug from Amma, just being in that environment was like an energy bath. It it was a spiritual experience just being in that energy. So it was a good thing. It was really great. So we finally, got to go. We kind of went from one section to another section. They guide you, and we get closer and closer to this stage where Alma's going to sit in this big throne, and she's got all these silks all around her and pillows, and it's just very grand, very goddess-like. It's very spectacular. So you get closer and closer. And when we got to the stage, there's like a seating area on the stage, so they put you up there. And then they just kind of guide you and tell you that when you get there, all you need to do is put your hands on the side of her chair and lean in a little bit, but don't go in for a hug. She'll pull you in. And there were people there, like attendants, that would kind of push you in as well. And then when it was done, they would pull you out and guide you the right way. So it was very kind of an out-of-body experience, but I was very aware of my body because it was getting pushed and pulled and directed into different areas really fast, and I just felt very clunky. It was like organized chaos, I guess, is what felt like to me. But beautiful. I was sort of just letting go of my bubble, my personal space bubble for sure, was popping that completely. And then also, when you're going someplace and you're like, okay, well, where do I go next? Well, what's the next step? Okay, when am I going to get together? You had to drop all of that completely and just allow other people to guide you, and at one point really literally move you back and forth. So it was a lot of kind of giving up of the physical body a little bit. And that was, I didn't understand that in the moment, but as I've been processing, that's something that I'm learning was part of my education from that night. So as we get closer, it was really neat because Whitney went in front of me. So I got to, you don't get to have your camera or anything up there. So you just all in your head. It's all the experience. And I got to see Whitney be hugged by Amma. So that was really neat. I got to see Amma whispering in her ear, and then I saw them kind of whisk Whitney away, and then I felt, somebody pushing me in, and I put my hands on the sides of the chair, and then I kind of felt a little bit more out of body. So I was happy that I got to witness Whitney's whole experience. And I know that when she was experiencing that, it was a little bit out of body-esque for her. So she's like, oh, but I have such a clear, I wish I could take what's in my head and put it into her head. So she has a super clear memory of what it was like to be out of her body. And anyway, it was just neat to witness. But then it was my turn. And it was really interesting because Amma pulled me in, and she put her mouth right up to my ear, and she started kind of rocking me, and she was saying, what I thought she was saying was Madonna, 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 Madonna. And then so it was like chanting Madonna. So I started chanting with her, Madonna, 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 Madonna. We were saying that together. And then she kind of kissed me, and then somebody pulled me back and pushed me off, and then they take you off the stage thing. So interesting that I was mishearing I was misunderstanding her. It was explained to me just shortly after that she was actually not saying Madonna. She was saying my daughter. So she was saying to me, my daughter, 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 my daughter. And then I ended up chanting back to her, Madonna, 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 Madonna. It's really super cool. Mother Mary came up for me a lot while I was there. So kind of clash of religions there, Hindu and Catholic, coming together, which is perfect because, you know, they don't need to clash. They're all one big pot, right? It's kind of how I see it. And definitely experienced that there, which was not something that I was expecting. So overall, it was just a great learning experience, a great cultural observance, and a spiritual experience. But in terms of the cultural experience, it was like a cultural experience that we got to dive into and be a part of and be part of the body of, if that makes sense. Very inclusive, very filled with love and peace and faith and openness. Yeah, so it was a really, really great experience. So if you ever have a chance, I would highly recommend visiting Amma and seeing if you might be able to get a hug from this magical woman. All right, many blessings to you, my friend. Namaste. You want to say namaste? The video's over.